This is my 2009 Kawasaki Concours, or Concours, or GTR, depending on what part of the world you live in. And I'm going to install an auxiliary brake light. It's an emergency vehicle grade LED light. And it has 20 flash patterns you can choose from, including a steady burn if you live someplace where they frown upon non-emergency vehicles having flashing red lights, even at the rear. Looked for a couple different places to install this. One of them, the first idea was to install it down here in place of that reflector, which I think it would mount there very well, but I think probably taller or higher is better, so ultimately I decided to mount it below the Kawasaki lettering in the rear panel between the turn signals. The existing running light and brake light, tail light, is LED. Not especially bright, and it's kind of tucked up underneath the rack here, and if you have your top case on, sometimes it maybe is a little tough to read, tough to see. And this, like I said, does have flash patterns, and if you want to get people's attention, it's incredibly bright. So I think that ought to do the job. So we got to figure out if we can safely drill into this area without getting into any trouble and hitting anything back behind there. So I pulled the seat off, and a couple of things we have to do here. We're working in this area, so we got to take a couple of things off to get access to where the wires for the tail light and brake light are. First thing we have to do is pull off this plastic piece. You can see this shroud is sort of in the way of where we need to be. The fasteners for this are 5mm hex head bolts. I've taken them out already. They're down here, and this pulls off this one piece. It comes out really easy once you pull those bolts up. That's pretty much it. You just set it aside, or throw it aside. The other part is this piece here, and there are, I think they're 4mm hex head bolts with screws with washers, and I pulled those out already, and this piece just slides out once you remove that. And so you can see the area where we need to work. You grab a light so we can get a good look. It's back in here, and it's tough to see, but I can see down there that there really isn't anything preventing us from drilling into the back panel. We just have to do it right in the center and steer clear of anything you might hit as far as the turn signal housing. You can kind of see I cheated a little bit, and I sliced the wire housing. It's like almost like a little heat shrink tubing that houses the wires for the tail light and brake light. I've actually exposed those already, and you can see the blue wire is for the brake light, the red is for the tail light, and the black and yellow wire is the ground wire. And so I've tapped each of those already with posi taps in preparation for hooking up the light. We're going to bring the wires through the hole we drill, mount it on the back, bring the wires through and hook them up right here. So that's where we want to drill, right here. So magically, through the power of editing, we'll make a hole. And there it is. I just used a couple of self-tapping screws to hold that tight. Comes with a little foam piece. It's angled down just a hair, as you can see, which I think is good because it's really, really bright. And if it was angled upward, it probably would be too bright, especially at night for the driver behind you. So it does. It has a slightly downward angle. It's going to be plenty bright, believe me. And we'll just have to wire it up. All right, you can see where the wires came through, and they came through right next to the existing tail light wires that run up into the tail light that's below the luggage rack. These come right through that hole. And this light has 5 wires. As I said before, this is the red obviously is the power wire. Black is the ground, negative. The white is a sync wire. You can sync several of these lights together. Yellow is the pattern select that you tap on the ground, and it will scroll through the patterns until you pick the one that you want. And then blue is, according to the box that the light came in, is a high or low power wire. as you tap this on a 12 volt, it either goes into a high power mode, low power mode, or shuts completely off. So we're going to use 2 of these wires. Eventually the rest of these we're going to trim off and cap off probably. I'm going to leave the pattern wire accessible in case I want to change the pattern at any time. And the high power, low power, we're going to leave that accessible too, in case we ever want to do anything with that. The other ones we can just probably fold up and leave out of the way. If I ever put another one of these lights down below in that reflector area, I can actually sync these together so they flash in an alternating pattern or come on at the same time, sync together. And there it is. Slow flash, and I will probably adjust that later.